Welcome back everybody to another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous video. Today it's gonna be a build guide for the Elemental Biter. I don't know exactly what to call this character, but this is a character which utilizes a lot of bites attacks. 5 of them in total, in combination with some War Priest blessings to add elemental damage to our bite attacks, in combination with Elemental Barrage, so that it triggers Elemental Barrage whenever we bite something to deal a lot of divine damage, dealing an insane amount of damage, so much in fact that sometimes we will be able to take out even the strongest opponents, even on the hardest difficulty, in one attack phase. Doesn't happen all the time, but it happens some of the time, you know. So, this character, as with all my character builds, are aimed for unfair difficulty. And in fact, you can play this character from level 1 to the level we're gonna show here, which is level 11. And of course, you can continue after that. But you can play it from level 1. It's not like the last character that we created in the last guide, by the way. Link down in the description to that one, but they are very good and very synergistic if you play them together. So that's what I really recommend, that you have the character that I created down below, and then you add this character in as a companion character, because this doesn't require any mythic paths, it doesn't require anything special at all actually. You can just add this to your companions and they're going to be absolutely amazingly strong. So, let's just jump into it. First of all, I just wanted to show you what we are going to be creating today. We are going to be creating a Vivisectionist Dragon Disciple, so a Blood Runner, Seeker, Proclaimer, Cross-Blooded, Nomad, Gendarm. Of course! And it all works together, of course. And of course, how are we going to deal all that damage? I think we have to go to Mythic Path to understand this. We are, of course, building heavily upon Elemental Barrage. So we will not deal that much damage until we get Elemental Barrage, but we will of course be able to use Spirited Charge. And if you want to see a playthrough where I play through the early game, if you're wondering how do I do this with Spirited Charge, how do I get to like level 6, level 7, level 8 where I can start picking up Elemental Barrage and Last Stand, there's going to be a link down in the description also to that playthrough where I play this build. So let's just jump into it and create this character. Let's do some retraining. I'm gonna retrain this character. Same portrait, else it's gonna be a little bit confusing for me. And level 1, we are going to go Sohei. Sohei, it's under Monk, of course. Sohei, why are we going Sohei? Well, first of all, Monks gets Flurry of Blows, which adds more attacks, and we are trying to get as many attacks as possible, because that's what we're building upon. The more attacks you get, the more elemental damage you can deal with these attacks, and that is going to trigger Elemental Barrage, and we want to trigger it as often as possible. So with Monk, we get Flurry of Blows, we also get an Animal Companion, and we get a bonus feat, which you can take from mounted combat feats, which means you can get Spirited Charge on level 1, which is gonna make it so much easier to get to the tutorial area. It's gonna help us all the way up until the higher levels. Charging is going to be the way to go. So that's what we're picking up. So hey, level 1. We're gonna go with a Damper for this build. Very often gonna go Damper with my build guides, but you can of course select anything. The most important thing is that you have a character which can max out its strength, and there's a lot of characters that can do that. So that is all. Next, we are going to select the Young Sheborn. That is because they get a bonus of strength, and the penalty is to dexterity. Why do I always select Damper, by the way? Well, Damper have negative energy affinity, which means they're healed by negative energy, and also they're not damaged by negative energy. And there's a lot of evil clerics and stuff which deals negative energy damage, and you're immune to that damage. So it makes it a little bit easier, but that is completely up to you. With the background selection, you're also free to go whatever you want. There might be an argument for getting a slight advantage on Nomad, since we're going to have an Animal Companion. You get 3 bonus hit points, but you can go absolutely what you want there. If you have another idea about what could be good as background, please drop a comment down below and share it if there's something that's better than Nomad. So, next up we're going to max out strength, of course. We're going to dump dexterity, that's not needed at all for the build. We're gonna have 11 constitution, which is a little bit low. I would like to have more. It's nice if you can find a constitution belt or something to make up for the lack of constitution. And then we're going to have 14 constitution. Strength is of course so that we can hit easier in combat, since any melee build that is not a dexterity build is of course going to build upon strength. Intelligence is so that we are going to get enough spells with our Vivisectionist, and also it adds to it makes it so that we're able to cast spells. Because if we go too low on intelligence, we will not be able to use Vivisectionist. There's not really spells, there's like potions. We will not be able to use them if we have too low intelligence. And also this intelligence adds more skills, and we're going to have to pick up a couple of skills because we're going to multiclass a lot, and some of these multiclasses have requirements and so on. So that is why we're adding intelligence. Charisma we're adding because we're gonna add sorcerer, and there is a serpentine sorcerer bloodline which we're going to add, and to be able to use their ability to get an additional bite attack, you need to have it adds your charisma modifier to the amount of times you can use that thing, and if your charisma is too low, you can only use it for 1 round, and that means you can only have that extra attack for 1 round. Yeah, I know that was very complicated, but now it's out of the system. So, what are we gonna pick up here then? Well, what you need to pick up is Persuasion, Knowledge Arcana. Then you're actually free to go with whatever you want. I always like going a little bit Perception in my characters. Why do we need Knowledge Arcana, you might ask? Well, Knowledge Arcana is because we're going to go with a Dragon Disciple, and we need at least 5 ranks of Knowledge Arcana for that. Persuasion, we don't need to go specifically, but I think it's very nice for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you're not combining this with the other class that I have a guide for, link down in the description, you're going to have trouble getting through people's defenses. So we're going to pick up Shattered Defenses later on, which makes it so that anything that is shaken or frightened, we're going to attack as if they were flat-footed if we land an attack on them. But to be able to make them shaken, we're of course going to have to pass a Persuasion check, so that's why we're adding Persuasion. But if you're adding, or if you're using the character that I told you about earlier, you don't have to do that. Also though, Persuasion is a prerequisite if you will later want to go into Hell Knight, which is actually a good thing to multiclass into later on, because of course Hell Knights get Smite Evil, and Smite Evil can bypass damage reduction, which is a little bit of a problem for this build, but not so much. I mean, our normal or our bite attacks are going to have Brutality Incarnate, which means that they are going to ignore damage reduction, but our normal attacks are not going to ignore damage reduction. So that's why. Okay, so these are the stats we're going to go with, and then we can add in something else. Maybe mobility. For instance, mobility could be good if you're later on adding in mounted combat to this build, because then you can pass a mobility check maybe with that to protect your mount. So, yes, a lot of things to talk about. This is a complicated build, but it is a masterpiece, I must say, when you see it in action. So, first feat is going to be Boon Companion. Boon Companion. And the Animal Companion, you can select any horse, but I prefer the black horse, it's a little bit cooler. And Spirited Charge, of course, very important that you pick this up. And this is what will carry you through the initial part of the game, as I said before. The first 6 or 8 levels is going to be mostly you setting up charges. By the way, if you want a guide for that, it's going to be another link down in the description to my advanced mounted combat guide, where I show you exactly how to set up these charges so that you can get through the early game without too much troubles. Then you have to pick up Gostra. You cannot go any other deity. It's important for this build that you have to go Gostra. If this clashes with your mythic path or something, bad luck. It's not gonna work out. You need to go Gostra, and you need to be lawful neutral for this build to work. So this appearance here, I always go with it, so I'm still just gonna keep to it. You can go anything here, and just gonna go with any name.
Skills exceed yours.
And for level 2 then, we are going to pick up Vivisectionist, and this is by the time you pick up this, you're going to be in the Mongrel Village, and you are going to be up against some difficult to hit opponents, and you are going to need to use True Strike to be able to hit them. So that's why we're picking it up now on level 2. If you are, for instance, retraining this character, you can change the order a little bit here, but it's actually a little bit sensitive, the order that you pick up these levels, if you really want to maximize everything that we can get here, because everything has requirements and everything builds on everything else. So it's a little bit of a complicated build if you mix up the order here. I'm gonna go True Strike though, and everything else here is just gravy on top. We're gonna pick those up. For level 3, we are going to go another level of Vivisectionist, and this is a very important level, because on this level we are going to pick up Feral Mutagen. Feral Mutagen, if you don't know what it does, Feral Mutagen adds whenever we are under the effects of... by the way, the Vivisectionist, what does the Vivisectionist add? Well, the Vivisectionist adds a Mutagen, first of all, which adds a +4 bonus to our strength, which we're going to drink every time before combat, of course. We are going to get a sneak attack die, which is good, and we can of course build upon this later. We're not going to build too much on sneak attack, but it's a possibility if you're going past level 11, because this guide is going to end at level 11, but if you want to build a sneak attack build, you can actually do that after this. But we're only going to have one sneak attack die here. So, this is level 3, this is where we pick up weapon proficiency, exotic weapon proficiency. Up until this point, I recommend that you use either a high crit damage weapon, such as a scythe, or a exotic weapon, or something that you got from your background you can also use. Or no, you can't use an exotic weapon. On this level, we're going to pick up an exotic weapon, and we're going to pick up... It doesn't actually matter what you pick up. I would recommend that if you have multiple of these characters, as I have in my playthrough, I would recommend that you vary between Kama, Sai, and Nunchucks, because these are the 3 possibilities. On this particular girl, I think we'll go Nunchucks. So why these particular weapons? Well, Kama, Sai, and Nunchucks have the added benefit that they're one-handed weapons, they are light weapons, and they are monk weapons, which means that when we use our feral mutagen, which you're going to pick up here, we are going to be able to get 2 attacks from Flurry of Blows with the weapon that we have, and then we're going to get 1 bite attack, which you're going to get from a feral mutagen. Whenever the alchemist imbibes a mutagen, he gains 2 claw attacks and a bite attack. So we get 1 bite attack, and we can use 1 of those claw attacks. One of our attacks is of course going to be double hitting with our exotic weapon, in this case the nunchuck. Then we're going to get 1 from our claw, and then we're going to get 1 from a bite attack. So we're going to have 4 attacks on level 3, which is kind of nice, and it's a lot of freaking damage, especially if we land all these hits. Of course, the claw attack and the bite attack will be subject to a -5 modifier, because they are secondary attacks, unfortunately. So they might be a little bit difficult to hit with, but when they hit, it's gonna be good. Then we can add any spell, it doesn't matter. Level 4, we are going to pick up Blood Rider. And we're not going to go with the same Blood Rider as I did in my playthrough here. So if you watch my playthrough, you might be surprised that I'm not going to pick up the same bloodline for the Blood Rider. We are actually going to go... I'm just going to click out these things. Did I? It's like use magic device? No, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter actually for this build. We're not going to go Draconic Black, even though, of course, it's a very, very nice bloodline. We're going to add Serpentine Bloodline. Serpentine Bloodline, of course, adds an additional bite attack. So now we have 2 bite attacks, 1 claw attack, and 2 normal attacks. And we still don't have a high enough base attack bonus. It's going to be quite deep down. Not until we get level 11 we're going to get that second attack from our base attack bonus being 6. So, level 5 then is going to be Oracle actually, and of course it's because we can get another bite attack. Oracle. Now the client usually starts lagging a little bit when you have a lot of multi-classing. I don't know why it happens, it starts lagging a little bit. You can select the normal Oracle or you can select the Seeker, it doesn't matter. The Seeker gets Seeker's trap finding also, but it's a very minor benefit, so you can actually go with the regular Seeker also, that is fine. Then we're going to select a feat, and that feat is going to be Extra Rage. You remember when we picked up very little Constitution before? Yes, this is to compensate for that very low Constitution. If you have a really nice +6 Constitution belt or something, I don't know, +4 maybe is the highest you can find at this point, then you can skip this. But if you don't have something like this, I would definitely recommend picking up Extra Blood Rage, because else you will hardly be able to rage at all in one day. So Extra Blood Rage is really, really nice. Then we're going to pick up Wolfsguard Face, and that is because Wolfsguard Face, of course, adds an additional bite attack, with the only downside being that we look ugly. Completely worth it. Completely worth it in my books. Then we're going to go Nature, and we're going to select Animal Companion, and Animal Companion Continue. Additional spells is going to be Inflict spells, because we're a Dampier, so we can heal ourselves with that. And then for spells, we are going to go Bless and Divine Favor. Bless, of course, adds +1 to moral bonus to attacks, and Divine Favor adds a luck bonus. So they stack with each other, which is very, very nice. And of course, it goes without saying that you should always, before every fight, cast every buff on me. That's kind of obvious. Next level is going to be level 6, and this is when we pick up War Priest. We have enabled Dragon Disciple, but we're not going to pick it up yet. We have the prerequisites for it. select War Priest. We can go with the regular War Priest. But I've always gone with the Proclaimer, so I'm gonna go with the Proclaimer. Proclaimer has a little bit of a better level 2 ability in Cleanser of Evil. If you want to go with another level of War Priest, which is actually a good thing to do on level 12, if you want to. Again, this guy is gonna end at level 11. But on level 12, if you pick up Cleanser of Evil, you will also get an extra use of your blessings. Which is very nice, because then you can use... then you don't have to sleep to get all your buffs back, essentially. That are needed for this combo that we're doing here. We're gonna go Spontaneous Casting, Spontaneous Cure, that's the only thing we can go since we're a Proclaimer. And then Weapon Focus is going to be... Bite! I don't know why I scrolled down, it's going to be Bite, of course. We have mostly Bite attacks, so we want to hit as often as we can with these Bite attacks. Running Bite. Next, you have to go Water. Water adds this ability right here. As at first level, you can touch a weapon and enhance it with the power of water. For 1 minute, this weapon glows with a blue-white shield and deals an additional 1d4 points of cold damage each strike. What it doesn't say here that this, of course, also works with unarmed attacks, it works with bite attacks, it works with any attack. So, it's simply amazing. But, of course, to trigger Elemental Barrage, we need 2 different elements, so we need to also have Weather. Weather adds 1d4 of electricity damage, and don't worry, even if your opponents are going to have resistance against these elements, so that it deals 0 damage, it's still going to trigger Elemental Barrage. So. And we of course need to cast both Weather and Water before every fight, and we only have 3 uses in total of our blessings, so we're gonna have to sleep before essentially every fight. Unless it's an easier fight and we don't need these things, or we can just charge them or something, then we don't need to do that. So that's a little bit the downside of the build, that we actually need to sleep before almost every fight. Next, we're going to pick up the Sorceress. And this is to set up in a good way for going Dragon Disciple, because else if we go Dragon Disciple, who went a couple of levels before, we will not be able to continue the spellbook of the Sorceress with the Dragon Disciple. So we're going to go cross-blooded, and this is of course again just so that it works better with Dragon Disciple, because we have already locked in Serpentine, so we need to go Serpentine plus a Dragon Bloodline to be able to add our spells when we pick up Dragon Disciple. For our feat, we are going to go... Let's see here. We are at level 7. So we're going to go Dazzling Display. And this is not something we are going to use, most likely, at least if you're playing with the character that I already mentioned. We're not going to use this too much. This is a prerequisite, of course, for Shatter Defenses, and Shatter Defenses is what we're actually looking for. I'm going to pick up Serpentine Bloodline. It's going to be easier ways of fearing your opponent than using Dazzling Display. That's why we're not using it, by the way. And then we're going to... you can add anything here. I'm going to add Quicken, because it's a nice metamagic to have, especially if you plan on going deeper into Dragon Disciple later on. So it gives you a lot of options. For instance, you can use this to quicken up your True Strike. Cannot see it, by the way. Metamagic Quicken spell. You can use that to quicken up your True Strikes and cast it right before you attack something, if you go deeper into Dragon Disciple. Then for our second Bloodline, we're going to select Draconic. You can go with any Golliger, anything is fine, but they have to be dragons. Spell has to be True Strike, and now we will have 8 uses of our True Strike. Before we only had 3 uses, 3 uses from our Vivisectionist, but now we're going to have 8 in total. So now it's going to be much easier to... we don't have to sleep between every charge we do, essentially, which is going to be very good. Level 8 then is going to be the Dragon Disciple. Now we finally pick it up. And this we pick up, of course, because we get another bite attack on level 2 of Dragon Disciple. The first level of Dragon Disciple is kind of poop. We don't get anything. This is a absolute poop level. But it is a requirement, of course, for getting to level 2. You have to get to level 1 to get to level 2. So, we're gonna get Blood of Dragons. We're gonna select next. And we're gonna complete. We get Magic Fang, actually, which we are going to cast on ourselves all the time, so it's another useful buff. That is going to add a +1 enhancement bonus to our bites. Just nice. Just nice. Dragon Disciple. I'm trying to click it. As I said, it starts to lag when you have these many things to lag. I don't know why it starts to lag. I guess because of this thing that needs to load all these things in or something. but it does. It's the price you have to pay for multiclassing a lot. You have to sit through the lag. Okay, next is going to be level 9. This is when we pick up Outflank. You have an animal companion, remember, and if you pick up Outflank on your animal companion, which we're going to do, then we're going to get +2 to hit, which is very much needed. It's, in my opinion, it's the best teamwork feat that you can pick up. Outflank. Next we are going to go Sorcerer for our arcane spellcasting. That is so that we keep progressing on Sorcerer and not on Blood Rager when we level up as a Dragon Disciple. It's not going to be relevant for this exact guide, but it's going to be relevant if you continue leveling into Dragon Disciple, which is one way you could take this build. But I'll leave it up to you how you want to progress after level 11. Then we are going level 10 here. And this, okay, it's loading. It's getting heavy for it. The computer load all these multi-classes, okay? Nomad is going to be the next choice. We're gonna go Ranger. As I said, ooh, computer starts, oh my god. I have an SSD if you're wondering, are you loading this from, from a very slow drive or something? Nope, nope, not doing that. Next, favorite enemy is going to be, you can choose anything here. My personal favorite is Demons of Magic, because almost anything that's dangerous is Demons of Magic in this game. So that's why it's like Demons of Magic. But if you have another choice, or if you have another difficult encounter that this can help in, go with anything you like. Why are we going Nomad there? It seems a little bit weird. Is just to get favorite enemy Demons of Magic? No! This is because if you do this, there's going to be a little bit of a bug, which means that since we pick this up and then we go Cavalier, for instance, we're gonna go Cavalier next level. If we go Cavalier, our animal companion is going to be 2 levels below the current level. It shouldn't be, but because of this particular bug, and I don't know exactly what happens, but if you do it this exact order, I don't know what causes this, the animal companion is going to be the same level as you. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. It just works, don't ask me. Okay. Next, level 11. We're going to pick up Cavalier, and Cavalier is of course because we can go into Gendarme, and Gendarme can select 2 combat feats. One because we are level 11, so we get a bonus feat, and one because the Gendarme gets that as a ability for being a Gendarme on level 1. So I'm going to select Cavalier, Gendarme, make him wait. Yep. It's like we're playing this on a like dial-up modem or something. Whenever we get out of this part though, when we get to the mythic selection, it's gonna stop lagging at least, so that's good. I've clicked next. Yep, here we are. So, if you did not go with the character, I'm gonna assume here that you did not go with the character that I have created in my last guide, again linked down in the description. In that case you should go Cornagon Smash, and what Cornagon Smash does is that whenever you hit something with a power attack, you make an immediate persuasion check. That's why we added all this persuasion as a free action to attempt to demoralize your opponent. So of course we're gonna couple this with Shattered Defenses, which is going to be our second bonus feat. But if you did go with my guide that I suggested earlier, then instead go Hammered Gap. Hammered Gaps adds more damage for every hit, and of course, if you have so many attacks, there's going to be a lot of damage with Hammered Gap. So, but I'm gonna assume that you're playing this in your own setup. So, Order of the Sword or Order of the Cockatrice is going to be every choice. I personally like Order of the Sword. Order of the Cockatrice would give us Dazzling Display though. So that's another way of doing things, but I'm not gonna do that. So I don't know why I'm even babbling about it. And then of course Shattered Defenses. This is very much needed, very much needed, and this is the earliest level we can pick it up, because now we finally have base attack bonus 6 and we get our Shattered Defenses. Shattered Defense of course has when a shaken, frightened or panicked opponent hit by you this round is flat-footed to your attack. So we hit something, and then for the rest of this round and the next round they're going to be flat-footed, which is going to be a much lower AC in almost every circumstance. And of course, we're coupling this with Cornagon Smash and being a little bit lucky with our persuasion roll so that we can actually bring them down to flat-footed. Because else, certain things are actually going to be quite difficult to hit even with this build. So, now we are on to the mythic levels. And the mythic levels are going to be like this. First of all, we need to select Elemental Barrage. Chris doesn't know alphabetical order, so I'm sorry for not learning the alphabet. Elemental Barrage. If you don't know what Elemental Barrage does, I'm gonna just reiterate it again. Every time you deal energy damage to a creature, you apply an elemental mark to it. Of course, with our War Priest Proclaimer, we have 2 types of elemental damage that we deal. If during the next 3 rounds you deal energy damage to a marked target with a different enemy type, the target is dealt additional divine damage. The damage is 1d6 per mythic rank, so this is going to trigger every attack after the first attack. No, on the first attack also, because we deal 2 different energy types. So this is going to trigger for every attack, and we're going to deal 4d6 extra divine damage, and divine damage cannot be reduced in any way that I know of. Which is amazing, so it bypasses all damage reduction. Absolutely amazing. Secondly, in almost every case, you're going to select Last Stand there, because it's going to help with survivability. But if you're feeling like you don't need it, you're a baller's man, you can just go straight to Brutality Incarnate. Your natural attacks now ignore all damage reduction except N dash, which is perfect. Getting past all that damage reduction which everything has. And then lastly, we are going to select Destructive Shockwave. When you miss with a melee attack, the target takes damage equal to your strength bonus. This damage cannot be increased by any other means, which is of course perfect because you're gonna have a very, very high strength modifier. Remember, you can put something like a belt of Hill Giant Strength, +4, so that's another +4 strength. You'll have selected strength on every level that we level up. We'll get another +2 from there. We have a strength mutagen, which has another +4. And then we have, from our dragon cycle, we have 2 extra strength. So that's going to be a lot of damage from Destructive Shockwave whenever we miss. And that's going to happen from time to time. So one more thing here before we start leveling up our Animal Companion, which is very, very important. In order to utilize all our attacks, in fact, in order to get more than 1 attack, you need to be standing still. That is because you need a full round action to make use of all your attacks. That's one thing to keep in mind. So if you stand still, you will get all these attacks. You can also move a little bit. There's a little bit of leeway with this. You can move like maybe 1 or 2 meters or so, and then you can start attacking. But if you move and then attack, or if you charge, of course, you're not going to get all attacks, unless you have a feat which gives you an ability so that you can do that. But with that out of the way, let's start leveling up our Animal Companion then. So, here he is. His name is Horse, apparently. We're gonna go Death Touched in this case. You can go anything here, actually, it doesn't matter. But since we're a Dampier, it matches with the Dampier, right? So, I always like going Perception, and these are the only 4 things which are relevant on a horse, because these are the only checks they can pass: Athletics, Mobility, Stealth, and Perception. Next, for the feat, we are in most cases going to go Die Hard on level 1, because it's going to save our horses at least 1 turn, which is going to make it much, much easier to play with these characters. At least on lower levels, Die Hard is good. If you are retraining a character, you don't actually need to pick up Die Hard, because it's not that good on the later levels, but it's very good on the lower levels. Name is gonna be Boogie, apparently. The Boogie Horse. Okay. Next, we're gonna continue leveling up our horse. We're gonna do the same skills, so that part is not super interesting. By the way, the stats that you see here, not the stats that the actual horse is going to have. I think that's what you get if you play on normal difficulty, and of course, we're playing on unfair difficulty here. So, on our next level, you have a couple of options. I would recommend that you go light barding, but in some cases, or in many cases, you will not have found a light barding at this point, so you can also pick up toughness on this level. So it's either light barding or toughness, just to get a little bit more survivability on your horse. And remember, we're nomads, so we have a little bit higher HP, or also slight advantage, as I said. Then we need to select Intelligence, so that we get Intelligence 3, and that is because we need to pick up Outflank, because remember, we put Outflank on our character. In order to utilize that, we need to have this on this character. And if they both have it, they're always going to outflank when we are mounted on this character, which is amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And of course, you're always flanking people when you are attacking on top of an Animal Companion. So it's perfect combo. Perfect combo. For the feat on level 5, we cannot select outflank, but we can go for medium barding, for instance. Or we can go toughness, doesn't matter. Next on this level, not much to do. Let's put in our stats. 1 foot in the grave there. It's a nice thing to have. And badoosh badoosh. And for this feat, we're going to select outflank. I'm pretty sure we're going to pick it up now. Yes. Outflank. So pick it up as quickly as possible. As quickly as can. Unfortunately, the horse does not get one attack bonus per level. Then I like to go on Constitution, but there is of course an argument for both strength and dexterity on this level. I would either go strength or Constitution. In most cases, I would probably just go Constitution on this level. To give a little bit more survivability. If our horses can survive one more hit, that's just worth it. That can save an entire combat. Next we're gonna go Death Touched. Or continue on Death Touched. And we're going to select not Heavy Barding in most cases, because we will not have found a Heavy Barding, most likely at this point. So instead, what I'm gonna go is go Toughness on this level. And actually on this level you can select whatever you want. Oh no, we're not on level 11 yet. This level! You're going to be able to select whatever you want. And you are going to select... Man, there's a lot of arguments for a lot of things. Actually, what I personally would go on this level is Combat Reflexes. And that's a way that we can later on get Seize the Moment, because we can get a lot of attacks opportunity. And if you have multiple horses, for instance, and they all will have Seize the Moment, then you're gonna get a lot of attacks of opportunity. So I would go that perfectly, but you can actually go anything on that level. Lastly, I just thought we'd go through how you buff up your character before you go into combat, because it's actually kind of important. First of all, you use your Magic Fang that you have available to you, and then you're gonna use your Divine Favor. In many cases, Power Attack is not going to be the best for you, but in certain combats, if you have an easy time hitting, you can turn on Power Attack. Then you are not going to use Serpent's Fang before you get into combat, because it's a free action. So whenever you're in combat, you use Serpent's Fang. But you need to buff up your character with both Storm Strike, Badoosh, and Ice Strike to be able to utilize Elemental Barrage, and then also, of course, drink your Mutagen Strength. Of course, if you have any other buffers, for instance, this character can give Prayer, Bless, we have some other things, maybe Bull Strength that we can add to our character. Cast all those other buffs also. And that's all. Now you're ready to fight. 3 horses, something would be annoying. Hey, that guy actually didn't attack. Oh, that guy didn't attack either. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, Serpent's Fang. Who are we gonna bring down first then? And we try this. The succubus all have mirror images, so we're not gonna go them first. I think that would be a waste of attacks. Probably the Greater Kalavakus would be the natural choice here. Oh my god, that's a good critical. Oh my god, one-shot that guy? Oh my god, did we hit good there? Okay, I think I must have rolled insanely well there. Okay, let's see, Greater Kalavakus. We can't even see the Incubus. I guess it's there somewhere. We're gonna try and take this guy out. Okay. Okay, well. Turn on this. We rolled so good with the first one. Like, we took out a Kalavakus alone. Greater Kalavakus with just one girl. That was insane. Oh my god. Got a couple of mirror images gone there also. Great. What with you? Man, Force Reality. Oh, I feel like such a dingus for not realizing how good. The good part about Force Reality, why is it so good? Well, of course you can Greater Dispel, but Greater Dispel, it's very unlikely to succeed because you need to roll for it. But Force Reality, just no rolls required. They are dispelled immediately. That's just so freaking good. I mean, it's very narrow, it only works versus the Illusion spell school, but still. Okay, yeah, try to take out the succubus. Oh my god, that's a good crit there. Okay. And let's see here, can we take out the other succubus also? That would be insane. Sure, we can't do it. Oh my god. Let's see how likely we are to hit there. Let's see. Chandra hit with sneak attack, 37. So Guarded Hearth, Amulet of Mighty Fist, Heroism, Favored Enemy Demons of Magic, Outflanking, Flanking, Weapon Focus, Bite, and Blood Rage. So 37. That's pretty good. And we actually didn't have the Mythic bonus here. Right, circumstance. Yeah, the mythic bonus have ticked out at this point. Only had for the first round. Let's see, a succubus. Let's try to take out succubus first. Okay, great. Okay, so one girl is down here. Hit this guy once, sure. Oh, does hit him, okay. Great. And let's see here. This girl is also down, but come on, get back with a good hit. Nice. The main character can't do much, maybe heal. Oh wait, we could have done this also. Could have damaged her. Could have damaged everybody. That would actually been better. Because then we would have gotten another bonus in the attacks, but that's fine.
Aim carefully.
Hit good now. Hit good. That's how you do it, everybody. That's how you do it. That's how you freaking do it. Okay, use magic device.